Yeah.
Welcome to the FullyCrypto podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the FullyCrypto podcast, your home of quality cryptocurrency and blockchain news, reviews, opinion and more. My name is Mark Hunter and with me is my regular co-host Alex. Alex, say hello.
Howdy, thanks for having me.
Now, regular listeners to the podcast will know that the last few weeks we've been interviewing some fantastic guests. Well, today is the first of our sort of crypto news snippets, news bites episodes, where we look at a couple of cryptocurrency blockchain stories we found interesting or amusing and see if we can dissect the whole thing and get to the bottom of them within a sort of 5 or 10 minutes. So we're not kind of taking up too much of your time, but you get to know these stories that are important in the cryptocurrency universe. How does that sound, Alex?
That sounds perfect. I can't wait.
Excellent. Well, the first one today is a piece that I wrote a couple of days ago, which is about the crypto fear and greed index. Do you know much about this?
Basically, it's like a chart, isn't it? You know, like on TradingView, you've got the ones where it tells you if it's overbought, underbought, so you can make a decision. It's whether sort of they're afraid, so they're going to sell, or if they're getting greedy, so they're going to buy more. So it sort of tells you what you should be doing, and you should usually do the opposite, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a bit more detailed. They've had one in traditional finance markets for a while, I believe, and so this one is a similar sort of thing where they don't just look at the trading side of things. They look at the volatility, they look at the market momentum and the volume, they look at social media, they look at Bitcoin dominance. It's a kind of a combination of what's going on in the markets, but also what people are saying about it. And from there, like you say, they give you a rating every day, give you a rating of how essentially the mood of the markets. So as it suggests, it goes from extreme fear, 0, up to extreme greed at 100. But within that, there's these different bands, and I found it really interesting because I wrote a piece a while ago saying I noticed how it mirrors Bitcoin's chart quite a lot, but also when it goes above 70, which is the first kind of stage of greed, you almost always get a crash, because that usually, when it's in greed, that's when the whole market's going up, and when it hits past 70, within a few days, a crash happens and the whole thing comes down. So it's only been up past, it got to 95 last summer when Bitcoin kind of raged up to 14k, whatever it was. And then the moment it hit that, it was like, I think the same day it was straight down. So it really is becoming a good guide as to when to sell. If you are someone that buys and sells, on like a monthly, or at least a monthly basis, you hold for a while, it is turning into a really good guide as to when to do it. And I noticed that it had risen above 70. It's been above 70 for 5 weeks. The past 5 weeks where Bitcoin's been trying to get over 12,000, it's been at 70, and it's never been consistently at that stage for that length of time.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking, well, if history is any guide, it's going to drop down. And sure enough, a few days ago, it dropped down. So I was looking at it thinking, well, is there a formula you can use to doing this? And I think you can trade going from the fear and greed guide. Basically, the way I see it is you got 0 to 30, 30 to 70, 70 to 100.
Yeah.
They started doing this in early 2018. Whenever it's been down below 30, it has shot up pretty quickly. So that signifies a good time to buy.
Yeah, you could make that your heavy buy zone.
Yeah, you could. And then when it gets to 40, that tends to be a kind of stopping off point in both ways. So if you've bought at like under 30, it gets to sort of 40, 45. What happens is the market tends to stall for a bit, and then it tends to carry on in the direction it was, and it goes up and up and up, and then you hit 70. And if you sell over 70, you miss out on the exact peaks and troughs. But if you follow that principle and you look back at history, it's a really good way of trading, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like it's almost like a cheat sheet,
Yeah.
telling you what everyone else is going to do, so you just do the opposite of them. If people are getting greedy, it's time to sell. Whereas if people are afraid, they're all selling, so you can pick up some cheap Bitcoin. I think that's a pretty smart way to go.
What's quite good as well is because all it gives you is the rating, the actual value of Bitcoin or whatever it might be, it doesn't mention that. It doesn't matter if it's gone from 5 to 10 or 3 to 12. If you just stick to those levels, the price is irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as long as your portfolio is in the green at the end of the day, it's working, don't you? Doesn't matter if you buy at 6k, 10k, 20k. As long as you buy at the right moment on the fear and greed index, you're going to make money, in theory.
The other good thing about it as well is, at the moment, because we've come off this high from 70 just recently, we've dropped down to 40 now, which is technically a kind of people are a bit scared, they don't know what to do. And what you often find, something like 95% of the time, when it hits 40, depending whether it's come up to 40 or come down to 40, it's usually a continuation pattern. So if coming down from 70 to 40, 95% of the time it carries back down to 20 or 30 and vice versa. So as well, if it's going up or coming down, again, it's all about odds, isn't it? The odds are it's going to carry on the direction it's come. So it's a bit, people are a bit scared or whatever, but where's it come from? That seems to be the key. So that middle ground can help you too.
Exactly. I think a lot of people as well, they don't understand charts, they don't understand technical analysis. You've got a lot of people who just buy whimsically and sell whimsically. They don't look at the charts. They see it as just another currency, not an investment as well. So you have a lot of people who, there could be resistance at 12k, but some people just won't give a crap because they won't understand. And I think with Bitcoin, as compared to the traditional markets, is that you have people that just buy Bitcoin because it's Bitcoin. They think, oh, that's going to be a good investment, let me buy it. They don't do the same research you would as if you went and chucked, 20 grand into a stock portfolio. You're going to do some research there, but with Bitcoin, people don't. So I think as well, this is better because you know what people are thinking, and it sort of factors in these people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. It does, because it picks up on the vibes that are going around. So you're bound to get, when newbies kind of buy in, they're going to get all excited when Bitcoin goes from like 5 to 10 or whatever. So it factors that in. And then it almost mirrors the smart people, because the smart people buy when there's fear, and the smart people sell when there's greed, irrelevant of price. They don't think, well, people are talking about it going to 20, so I'll hold it. No, they don't. They get out. History would tell you that it follows the smart money, because, it was down to something like 9 or 10 in March, and then once before that, and I remember looking at that thinking this is the time to buy, but I was scared to buy. If you still believe in the asset class, and if you follow this, you strip out a lot of noise, you strip out a lot of bullish this, bearish that, whatever, and it tells you what the smart money is doing.
Exactly. It's almost worth leaving crypto Twitter just to so you get that crap out of your head.
Yeah, it is, because that can just confuse you.
Yeah.
So that's our summary of what potentially the crypto fear and greed index could do for you.
Yeah, well, check it out, guys. Go check it out.
You're listening to the FullyCrypto podcast.
The second thing I wanted to talk to you about is Pek Universe, which is something that I'm not sure many of you are going to be familiar with, but it's something that I know well, and Alex, certainly you know this a bit better than me, I think, in fact.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time digging and chatting to these lovely people. About, it was maybe end of June, I got a lovely message on Telegram from someone telling me I should invest in their oil and energy, and it was like a trading platform for all these obscure things. And, it sort of piqued my interest. I was like, this isn't normal. So I saw the website, as it is, just had loads of red flags. There were suspicious looking directors. There were mentions of guaranteed income. And there was, a person on there, like I recognised the image from somewhere, but I wasn't sure where. So, I started doing a bit of research, and of course it was a scam. So what they'd been doing is they've been coaxing you into depositing some Bitcoin into your account in the hopes of getting guaranteed returns on your investments. And they were going to put it in like oil, gas, all sorts of things in the energy sector, real estate. They're going to put it everywhere. And they were promising up to like 1.9% returns every month. Yeah, then I looked at their lovely directors, and I thought, these look a bit suspicious. So they've got a guy, Eric Greg Newman. He is actually called Michael Schuster, and he is a pilot for Lufthansa. Yeah, he's not quite the chairman of this scam.
I mean, he might be in his spare time. Maybe when it's an autopilot, he's throwing money around oil fields.
Oh, exactly. It could be. I mean, maybe that's what he does. He flies for Lufthansa and then owns an oil field as well. He's a son of a Saudi prince. And they've got another girl called Catherine Cromwell. Now, it's her picture I sort of recognise from LinkedIn. And I thought, I'm very sure her name wasn't Catherine Cromwell. So I did a bit of digging on her, I did some reverse image searching, and her name's actually Andrea Limand. Please forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. She's an American businesswoman who also runs a band called the Mrs. Band. She published the photo they've stolen in an article on LinkedIn 6 months ago.
So you flagged all these things up, and didn't you tell the authorities about this in some way?
I did. I reported them to the SEC back in July. We even tagged them in our tweet when we posted it. And then we got a nice update, didn't we, Mark?
Yeah, so it seems that your warning letter actually rang a bell, because we got a notification late last week that Pek Universe have now been hit with a cease and desist order from the Texas, the Texas Securities and...
The Texas State Securities Board.
There we go. So they've been hit with a cease and desist order, and it's interesting because it's that company and this Forex Birds Limited, which I believe they tried to claim to you when you asked to see some certification. They sent you back this Forex Birds thing or something?
Yeah, exactly. They sent back a company's house incorporation certificate, which is in the UK. And now, okay, fair enough, it is registered there. But that doesn't mean anything. It just means they've paid like 20 quid to incorporate a company. Anybody can do this. You just have to have an address, and it costs about 20 something pounds to do. It's like they did make an effort, but that doesn't mean anything. Just because they have this certificate doesn't mean they're legitimate.
Well, yeah, this is the interesting thing, because going from your article, when you questioned them about the certification, they apparently said that you had no right to ask questions about that information.
Yep, that's exactly what they said.
What's brilliant is that in the cease and desist order it says, this Forex Bird claims to be regulated and registered with the European and Investments Commission, as well as the Australian Securities and Investments Commission and the St. Vincent Finance Security Authority. Absolute bollocks. They weren't registered with any of them, and even if they were, that wouldn't mean they were allowed to trade in securities, especially in Texas.
Exactly, and I mean, I don't know, Texas has been rather picky. I mean, even for legitimate companies, they avoid doing stuff in Texas because you have to be licensed and regulated in Texas specifically. There have been several legitimate cloud mining companies that have been banned from Texas. They've not done anything wrong. They just haven't blocked Texas, like with the geo block on their site. So, I mean, for once, the securities board in Texas has actually pointed out a big scam.
And the upshot of all this is that because of their failure to exclude Texas from their activities, the two founders, the founders of Pek Universe and Forex Birds, who go by the names of Babu Bondaisy and Darwin Eric Balusek. Do you know what his nickname is, this Darwin Eric Balusek? Do you know what he goes by?
No, you're going to have to tell me.
The Bitcoin Pope.
Wow.
That sounds like the kind of name he's given himself and has just desperately tried to get it about, like that kid at school that wants a nickname but no one's going to give him a nickname, so he makes up his own nickname and tries to get people to call him that.
Exactly.
So these two chaps, Babu Bondaisy and the Bitcoin Pope, oh, that sounds like a TV show. I think I've stumbled across gold there.
Like a sort of criminal mastermind team.
It does, doesn't it? Like, yeah, some sort of crime-fighting duo.
Yeah, I could watch that.
So Babu Bondaisy and the Bitcoin Pope, they now face a £10,000 fine or between 2 and 10 years in prison, or both, depending how everything goes from here. They have until the end of September to talk to the regulators to kind of basically work out their punishment, it seems. And the amazing thing is, despite all this, the website is still up, and it looks to me like they're still operating elsewhere.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, the website is still up. They've always got this Cloudflare sort of DDoS protection rubbish, but that's always been there. So I don't think they've actually changed anything. They're still getting their live messages. They're just replying less frequently. I tried to reach out to them, and I think you did as well.
Yep, I tried.
But again, like, just keep getting ignored.
Yeah, getting ignored. Hopefully, that means that they are finally in the process of winding down, and that this cease and desist order is going to be the thing that really kind of kickstarts them on the road to oblivion, which would be nice considering how much money they've rinsed from people.
Yeah, fortunately it's not been millions, but they haven't been the smartest about doing it either. They've just used one Bitcoin address for depositing. So you can see everybody that's ever deposited to them. Now, I mean, obviously to normal folks that means nothing, But to the authorities, they can just trace that back to an exchange and find exactly who got scammed and give you your money back. So there is hope if you have been scammed by these people.
I mean, it seems like the money is still there, because if that was the single wallet, you'd know what's gone out, and if the money's still there, that's a rare victory in some ways for the investors.
They have shuffled it around. There was about 80 Bitcoin that ran from this address through to many others using sort of obfuscation techniques. But I mean, anyone with some sort of understanding of chain analysis will be able to find exactly where that went.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully this is the beginning of the end for Pek Universe, and hopefully those guys are going to get their money back.
If you did lose money to them, please do reach out to the Texas State Securities Board. I'm sure they'll help you.
Definitely. Well, that wraps up our first News Bites, News Snippets podcast. We're going to have to come up with a better name for this. I'm not liking my awful suggestions so far.
Well, yeah, maybe someone can give us a name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on in the boat, have competition.
Yep.
We'll try and sort you out a treat or a surprise or something if you are chosen as the lucky winner.
You can contact us by Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all at FullyCrypto. And Alex, the website is
FullyCrypto.com.
FullyCrypto.com. So thank you everyone for listening to us ramble on, and we will speak to you again soon.
Yeah, have a great day.